Hello again, baby yams and squidlets. Today we're going to talk about whether cruiser riders make sense for beginners or not. I've set this video up in a pro and con format. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why it makes sense and 4 reasons why it doesn't. Everyone knows the Turbo Busa is the only choice for beginners. I still don't know why Suzuki hasn't sponsored this channel. Maybe at 1 million subscribers, I can get a factory Turbo Hayabusa sent from Japan. Who knows? Either way, it's a damn near guarantee the Triumph won't touch this content with a 10-foot pole, so we gotta hold out hope in another direction. Also, today's sponsor is Ridge Wallets. I'm going to tell you guys more about them a little later in the video. If you're looking at cruisers, you're obviously not about the sport bike life. I get it, bro. Not everyone wants to be all about the street Rossi life, dragging knees and ripping through corners. Some of you guys probably just want to, well, cruise. Now, before we get started, smash that subscribe button for me and do yourself a favor and check out our motorcycle giveaway in the links below. Yes, I'm giving away bikes. Seriously. So now, without further ado, let's see what's up with these cruisers and what makes them good and bad. Number 1, comfort and seating position. If you're not a young, nimble 20-something-year-old and you're just getting into bikes, comfort might be an important factor of why you drive what you drive and why you want to ride certain bikes. I don't blame you. If you plan on taking long rides across your state, the country, or whatever else, a sport bike might not be the best choice. Most people don't ride their sport bikes to tracks, and it's because of comfort and all kinds of other factors. There's a limit to how long someone can ride a motorcycle, and cruisers have enough comfort to extend that time frame. The low seating position of cruisers is a very welcoming and accommodating place for riders of all ages and sizes. The easy to reach foot levers, upright seating position, and straight out front handlebar angle makes it a favorite amongst anyone with joint pain, lower back pain, and other physical ailments. Don't believe me? Go sit on an R1 and then a cruiser and tell me which one is more comfortable. It's a selling point for some. Number 2, reasonable power. Beginners flock to cruisers because of the adequate and reasonable amounts of power they provide. While entry-level cruiser bikes exist, such as the Honda Rebel 300, the quest for power never ends. I'm not talking about ridiculous performance marks either, but just enough power so that new riders won't feel inadequate when merging onto freeways or cruising at highway speeds. Besides some smaller engine cruisers, the Big Four offer models with moderately powered engines that aren't going to rev to the moon and make all kinds of power. Kawasaki's Vulcan uses the Ninja 650 parallel twin, so that power isn't an issue, nor excessive. Honda has the Shadow with the 749cc V-twin. Suzuki has the Boulevard S40 with the 649cc single cylinder, and finally Yamaha with their Bolt 942cc V-twin. Wow, there was so many numbers. I cannot believe I just did that right the first time. These bikes all perform without lagging in the acceleration department, which adds to the desire of beginners. Number 3, price. Start comparing the pros and cons of sport bikes and cruisers, and you'll soon realize the cruisers tend to be cheaper than their sportier counterparts. A mid-level cruiser costs roughly the same as a used sport bike or half the price of a new one. When you compare both bike types next to each other, the same amount of money for a new cruiser will only be enough to fetch a beginner sport bike. It's hard to argue against someone when they're fixed on buying a new bike, and sometimes the price just isn't right for them. More comfortable ride-on, cheaper price, and buying new is something a lot of people will consider. I still advised going brand new for your first bike, no matter what the type is, except trikes. If you're buying a trike, you can't drop it, and I don't even know why you're watching my channel. Just kidding, I accept any and all viewership. I've seen plenty of comments from folks who don't know anything about bikes and check out my videos, which is pretty sweet. One thing I would like to mention though is a brand new cruiser in the Harley variety is going to be much more expensive than your garden variety sport bike, so this is just something I'd like you to keep in mind. Now, before we look at some of the reasons cruisers might not be the best, we gotta discuss something that all riders should have, and that is a more streamlined wallet. Yes, this is our ad read, and if you want, you can skip through it and just click the link and get a wallet because it really does help our channel. Anyways, the Ridge is the world's premier minimal wallet maker. Seriously, they have hundreds of copycats, but they were the first to market. It's not complicated, my dudes. You've got a bulky leather wallet that looks like it's from 1973, and the Ridge is gonna update your stuff. Right now, get yourself 10% off the wallet with the code YammieNoob at checkout and by clicking the link below. It's easy. Get a Ridge wallet and stop your wallet embarrassment. Click the link below, use code YammieNoob, get yourself 10% and update your stuff. Now, let's see why cruisers are not the best choice for beginners. Number 4, style. It's not a sport bike, it's not a standard, it's not a naked bike, it's a cruiser, and something about its style has garnered your attention and is drawing you in. That's excellent. There's nothing wrong with the style of a cruiser. It's the age-old classic look of the rebel, the lone wolf, and the one that just wants to ride away from everything. It's fine, not everyone wants to be a dank nooner poppin' squid on a ZX-10 with half of a 3/4 helmet and riding into the unknown on your cruiser. We get the image and look that you're going for. However, with that look and image comes some interesting brand cachet, let's say. Although the cruiser does conjure up images of a lone wolf, you will sometimes find folks that don't love that image either. Number 5, size and weight. This is a big one, literally. The size and weight of cruisers are more than supermotos, sport bikes, naked bikes, and most standard bikes. They're heavier than everything except a touring bike, and sometimes not even then. I'm not bashing on the size and weight for advanced riders, but for a beginner, it might just be a bit too much to handle. If you don't know what I mean, go sit on a bike for a size and weight comparison. A bike feels heaviest when it's stopped or at very low speeds, and cruisers are no exceptions. It's been suggested time and time again, and I'll even suggest it again right now, that a beginner doesn't jump onto a 500 or 600 pound cruiser and try riding. I can guarantee that the drops are going to break a lot of parts, and that as a rider, you might not be able to pick the bike back up without doing the proper procedures. Starting on a smaller bike doesn't mean sacrificing power. The Honda Rebel, for example, comes with a 300 or a 500cc engine and weighs just over 400 pounds, which is more than adequate for a beginner rider. Number 6, maneuverability and handling. With the size and weight of cruisers comes the lack of maneuverability and handling. At low speeds, the cruiser is going to be harder to turn, U-turn, swerve, and maneuver through tight spots. As a beginner, you should be able to know how to react to certain situations and maneuver the bike accordingly. The heavier the bike, the harder it's going to be. Lacking the proper skills to handle a cruiser at lower speeds may result in you dropping the bike a few times. At high speeds, the handling difficulties continue. Cruisers are not designed to lean over at extreme angles and tight turns. It's common for riders to overlean their cruisers into corner and scrape the foot pegs, kickstand, or even the exhaust system. If you think you might want to become the next Valentino Rossi, buy a sport bike and forego the cruiser. If you're on the fence about the sport bike look and becoming a Rossi, consider a naked bike instead of the cruiser. You never know. Maybe instead of a cruiser, you'll get a Ninja 300 as your first bike and then get hooked on cornering. Cruisers will not be easy for beginners to flick or even keep upright in certain situations. One common occurrence on a motorcycle is dealing with an extreme crown or slope of a road. While most cars don't feel this angle, a stopped motorcycle will, and it can surprise new riders who weren't previously aware of its existence. As new riders, you have to focus on your skill set and learning everything you can. Having a bike in which you have to fight, keep upright is going to wear you out and tire you out on your rides. Number 3, ergonomics and style. Cruiser bikes have a really comfortable placement on the foot peg, shift lever, and rear brake. On the flip side, these are not in the most ergonomic positions, especially for new riders. The relaxed seating position takes away the on-edge pose new riders need to have and to be able to react to sudden changes in traffic, an oncoming car, or someone that simply doesn't see them. On standards and sport bikes, the shifter and brake are set lower and rearward, allowing riders to shift or brake immediately. Riders should focus on safety and reaction times first and choose the bikes that will allow for fast responses to situations. The style of the cruiser is that of normally a half helmet or a 3/4 helmet. I'm not going to lecture you on why less coverage should even be considered. Have you switched to Sprint yet? In all seriousness, wearing anything less than a full face helmet will result in more injury and damage if you end up in an accident. As timeless as the look of a cruiser is, sadly the look is completed by buying a half or a 3/4 helmet as well. New riders should always wear the most amount of protection as possible. You guys are more likely to crash or injure yourself than experienced riders. It's not just you either. Since the days of the 1950s, drivers have become significantly more distracted, which leads to motorcyclists needing more protection. When you get your first bike and begin riding, it might shock you how many people are texting and driving or simply not paying attention to the road ahead and their surroundings. And our final point, the mechanics of the bike. I'm not going to go out there and bash cruisers and say that their parts are inadequate or that the engineering department needs an overhaul. No, I'm going to say that for a beginner rider, a cruiser may be inadequate because of some of the features they lack over other motorcycles. Cruisers aren't built the same as sport bikes or standards and have significantly reduced braking distances. When a race-ready sport bike needs to brake, it does so with premium braking performance. When a cruiser needs to brake, Not so much. For the experienced rider, braking isn't an issue with their cruiser. It's something that they're used to and the performance of the bike is expected, so you brake a little bit earlier. For the new rider, every extra foot of stopping distance is a must-have. Being able to brake safely without going over the handlebars is important. Some noobs will, I can guarantee this, brake too hard too soon or too soft too late because they're unsure of their bike's braking performance. When you factor the added weight of the cruiser, you now have a recipe for braking disaster with the new rider. Now, that's going to wrap it up for today, my sweet and wonderful baby yams. Thanks so much for watching and tuning into this video. I do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go and click the links below to learn how you can get entered to win some free motorcycles. Seriously, I'm giving them away. We also have our Discord server as part of our Patreon that I hang out with as well. And again, if it's your first time here, smash that subscribe button and let me know in the comments if you're a cruiser rider or you started on a cruiser rider and tell me all about it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Fact: in 1923, jockey Frank Hayes won a race at the Belmont Park in New York despite being dead. He suffered a heart attack mid-race, but his body stayed in the saddle until his horse crossed the line for a 20-to-1 outsider victory. Goodbye.